To understand this story, you first need to understand how MrBeast became the most powerful creator on YouTube. Jimmy Donaldson started his YouTube channel in 2012 when he was just 13 years old, uploading videos from his childhood home in Greenville, North Carolina. For years, he grinded, posting gaming videos, commentary content, and YouTube meta-analysis that barely got any views. But Jimmy was obsessed. He studied the algorithm. He analyzed what made videos go viral. He would spend hours, days, weeks studying retention graphs and click-through rates. And he had a core group of friends who were on this journey with him. They called themselves the Boys, a tight-knit crew from North Carolina who believed in Jimmy's vision, even when the videos were getting a few thousand views at most. One of those original friends was Tyson. Chris appeared in some of MrBeast's earliest videos. He was the funny sidekick, the loyal friend, the person who would do stupid challenges for content. When Jimmy said, "Let's count to 100,000 or let's watch paint dry for an hour," Chris was there. In 2017, everything changed. MrBeast's video counting to 100,000 went viral, and suddenly Jimmy's obsessive approach to YouTube was paying off. He found his formula: large-scale challenges, giving away massive amounts of money, and production value that rivaled traditional television. Videos like "I gave my 40 millionth subscriber 40 cars," and "I opened a restaurant that pays you to eat at it" pulled in tens of millions of views. The MrBeast brand became synonymous with generosity, spectacle, and feel-good content. And through it all, Tyson was there. He was in the thumbnail. He was part of the challenges. He was one of the core cast members that audiences grew to love. By 2024, MrBeast had become more than just a YouTube channel. It was a business empire. MrBeast Burger, Feastables chocolate bars, massive philanthropic initiatives like Team Trees and Team Seas. Forbes estimated the MrBeast brand's value in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Tyson was a millionaire himself, benefiting from the success of the channel. He had his own following, his own fans, his own platform. But behind the scenes, something was about to unravel that would threaten everything. In 2023, Tyson began to publicly transition, eventually coming out as transgender and asking to be referred to as Ava Kris Tyson, or simply Ava. This was a major moment, not just for Ava personally, but for MrBeast as a brand. The channel's primary audience skewed young and male, and the creator space has historically not been particularly progressive on LGBTQ+ issues, but Jimmy Donaldson handled it with maturity. He supported Ava publicly, continued featuring her in videos, and pushed back against transphobic comments. To his credit, Jimmy made it clear that Ava was family and wasn't going anywhere. Ava documented her transition journey on Twitter, discussing hormone replacement therapy, her experiences, and her identity. She received both support and significant backlash. Trans creators often face disproportionate harassment online. By early 2024, Ava had been living openly as a transgender woman for about a year. She had divorced her wife, with whom she shared a young son, but maintained that the split was amicable and that they were co-parenting. To the public, Ava seemed to be living authentically and continuing to thrive as part of the MrBeast empire. But in July 2024, old messages and interactions began to resurface that would paint a very different picture. On July 24th, 2024, a YouTuber and investigator named Rosanna Pansino, who had previously competed in MrBeast's creator games, posted a video bringing attention to allegations against Ava Kris Tyson. But these weren't new allegations. They had been circulating in certain corners of the internet for months, even years. What changed was that now they were getting mainstream attention. The allegations centered around Ava's relationship with a user named LavaGS, real name Connor. According to publicly available information, Ava had known Connor since he was approximately 13 years old. Ava, who was in her late teens at the time they met, had developed an online friendship with the young fan. Here's where it gets disturbing. Screenshots and archived messages allegedly showed years of communication between Ava and Connor that many deemed inappropriate. These messages allegedly included sexual jokes, inappropriate references, and content that crossed the line from mentor-fan relationship into something far more concerning. One particularly damning piece of evidence was messages in a public Discord server, where Ava and Connor allegedly engaged in inappropriate conversations, sometimes sexual in nature, while Connor was still a minor. There were also allegations that Ava had shown or shared NSFW artwork with Connor when he was underage. Specifically, artwork featuring characters from the animated series Hazbin Hotel in sexual situations. Multiple people began compiling evidence, screenshots of deleted tweets, archived Discord messages, videos of interactions at meet and greets, and patterns of behavior that suggested grooming. The term grooming is important here. Grooming refers to when an adult builds an emotional connection with a minor to gain their trust for the purposes of sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, or trafficking. It's a process, not a single act. And according to those analyzing the evidence, Ava's behavior fit the pattern, building a close relationship with a young fan, normalizing sexual conversations, isolating them through special attention, creating a power dynamic where the minor feels special and chosen. As the allegations gained traction, social media exploded. The hashtag MrBeast began trending. Commentary channels began covering the story, and pressure mounted on both Ava and Jimmy Donaldson to respond. On July 23, 2024, as the allegations were gaining momentum, Ava Kris Tyson posted a statement on Twitter, now X. She wrote, "I would like to apologize for any of my past behavior or comments if it hurt or offended anyone. It was not my intent. Seeing recent events, we've mutually decided it's best I permanently step away from all things MrBeast and social media to focus on my family and mental health." The statement continued, "I want to add, I never groomed anyone. The person who gets brought up in these accusations has vocalized that they are false. Having said that, I humbly apologize to anyone I have hurt with my unacceptable social media posts, past actions, and to those who may feel betrayed by how I used to act online." There are several notable things about this statement. First, it was vague. It didn't directly address specific allegations or evidence. Second, it emphasized that the alleged victim denied being groomed. Third, it announced her departure from MrBeast immediately. The speed of the departure raised eyebrows. This wasn't a taking time to reflect situation. This was a complete, immediate severance from a billion-dollar brand she had helped build over a decade. Critics pointed out that the statement was a textbook non-apology. If it hurt or offended anyone, places the problem on others being offended rather than taking responsibility for actions. and denying grooming while simultaneously apologizing for unacceptable behavior created confusion about what exactly she was admitting to. The person at the center of these allegations, Connor, known online as Lava GS, also released a statement. Connor, who was 20 years old at the time of the controversy, defended Ava. He stated that he was never exploited or taken advantage of, that their friendship was always appropriate, and that people were mischaracterizing their interactions. These videos are massive lies and twisting the truth, Connor wrote. Ava never did anything wrong and just made a few edgy jokes. I was never exploited or taken advantage of. Can you not ruin my reputation? This is where the situation becomes complex. In cases involving alleged grooming, it's not uncommon for victims to defend their abusers, especially if the grooming was successful in creating a bond and normalizing the behavior. Grooming works specifically by making the victim feel that the relationship is consensual, special, and appropriate. Victims often don't recognize the manipulation until years later, if ever. Additionally, Connor had benefited from his association with the MrBeast brand. He had made appearances, gained his own following, and likely felt loyalty to Ava, who had given him access and attention. But others argued that we should take Connor at his word, that he's an adult now, fully capable of understanding his own experiences, and that outsiders claiming to know his truth better than he does is itself a form of dismissing his agency. The debate raged online. Do we believe the alleged victim when they say nothing happened? Or do we look at the evidence and behavioral patterns regardless of the victim's statement? For several days after Ava's departure, Jimmy Donaldson remained silent. This silence was deafening and strategic. Behind the scenes, according to later reports, any MrBeast team was conducting damage control. They were likely consulting lawyers, PR firms, and crisis management specialists. This wasn't just about one person's actions. This threatened the entire MrBeast empire. Finally, on July 25, 2024, MrBeast released his own statement. Over the last few days, I've become aware of the serious allegations of Ava Tyson's behavior online, and I am disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. During that time, I have been focused on hiring an independent third party to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure I have all the facts. That said, I've seen enough online and taken immediate action to remove Ava from the company, my channel, and any association with MrBeast. I do not condone or support any of the inappropriate actions. I will allow the independent investigators the necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take any further actions based on their findings. This statement was more definitive than Ava's. Jimmy didn't use vague language. He called the allegations serious and the alleged behavior unacceptable acts. He announced that Ava had been removed from everything MrBeast related. Most notably, he announced an independent third-party investigation. This was a smart move from a legal and PR standpoint. It showed he was taking it seriously while also buying time before making further statements. But critics noted what wasn't in the statement. There was no expression of support for potential victims. No acknowledgement that this person had been his close friend for over a decade. No explanation of whether he had known about any of this behavior previously. That last point became particularly important. Had Jimmy known? Had other members of the MrBeast team known? Were there warning signs that were ignored? As the investigation was announced, more questions began to surface, not just about Ava, but about the broader MrBeast operation. Former employees began coming forward anonymously, claiming that the work environment at MrBeast Productions was toxic. Some alleged that inappropriate behavior was normalized, that there was a boys' club mentality, and that concerns were dismissed. One particularly disturbing allegation suggested that Ava had a Shadman poster visible in her room. Shadman being an artist notorious for creating sexualized drawings of real children, including child celebrities. If true, this raised serious questions about judgment and values. Other allegations suggested that some MrBeast videos had included inappropriate jokes or references that would have been edited and approved by multiple people, meaning the culture might have been more permissive than the public-facing brand suggested. People also began scrutinizing old videos, finding moments where Ava made jokes about minors or engaged in edgy humor that, in hindsight, seemed less like jokes and more like red flags. The YouTube commentary community exploded with coverage. Channels like Drama Alert, Turkey Tom, and dozens of others released videos analyzing the evidence, the timeline, and the implications. Some defenders of Ava argued that she was being targeted because of her trans identity, that transphobic people were using any excuse to tear her down, and that the same behavior from a cisgender creator might not receive this level of scrutiny. But others, including LGBTQ+ creators, pushed back on this defense. They argued that holding Ava accountable was not transphobic, that predatory behavior is predatory behavior regardless of someone's gender identity, and that trying to shield someone from consequences because of their marginalized identity actually harms the community by reinforcing negative stereotypes. The situation became a flashpoint for broader conversations about accountability, parasocial relationships, creator responsibility, and the protection of minors in online spaces. For months after the initial statement, the promised third-party investigation continued behind closed doors. MrBeast's team provided no updates, no timeline, no indication of what the investigation entailed or what it might reveal. This silence frustrated many people. Without transparency, it was impossible to know if the investigation was thorough, independent, or just a PR move to let the controversy die down. Ava completely disappeared from public life. Her social media accounts went dark. She made no further statements. She was effectively erased from MrBeast videos. Any merchandise featuring her was pulled, old videos with her weren't promoted, and new content proceeded as if she had never existed. For Jimmy Donaldson, life continued. He continued posting videos, continued his business ventures, and generally operated as if the controversy was behind him. His subscriber count didn't significantly drop. In fact, it continued growing. This revealed an uncomfortable truth about YouTube and influencer culture. Controversies often don't have the impact we think they should. MrBeast's core audience, young people who wanted to watch extreme challenges and giveaways, largely didn't care about behind-the-scenes drama involving a former co-host. As of early 2025, the investigation has reportedly concluded, but no public findings have been released. Some insiders suggest that legal agreements prevent disclosure. Others speculate that the findings were damning but ambiguous, enough to justify Ava's removal but not enough to pursue legal action. Connor, now 21, has continued maintaining that nothing inappropriate happened and that he wishes people would stop bringing it up. Ava has not returned to public life, and according to sources, is focused on her relationship with her son and staying out of the spotlight. The Ava Kris Tyson scandal represents the first major crisis for Mr. Beast that threatened his carefully constructed brand image. For years, Mr. Beast had been seen as YouTube's good guy, the creator who gave away money, helped the environment, and built a wholesome entertainment empire. His content was advertiser-friendly, his persona was squeaky clean, and his business ventures were enormously successful. But the Ava situation exposed potential cracks in that image. Questions emerged. How could someone engaging in allegedly inappropriate behavior with minors be part of the Mr. Beast operation for so long without anyone noticing or intervening? What does it say about Mr. Beast's judgment that he was best friends with this person for over a decade? Were there cultural issues within Mr. Beast productions that enabled or normalized inappropriate behavior? Did Jimmy know? And if he didn't know, should he have? These questions matter because Mr. Beast isn't just an entertainment channel. It's a brand that markets to children and teenagers. Parents trust Mr. Beast. Schools show Mr. Beast videos. He's sponsored by major corporations and collaborates with traditional media companies. Any hint that the environment wasn't safe, that inappropriate behavior was tolerated, or that warning signs were ignored could have serious business consequences. To Mr. Beast's credit, he took swift action once the allegations went public. Ava was out immediately. An investigation was launched. The brand moved forward. But the bigger question remains. In an industry built on parasocial relationships, where creators have unprecedented access to young fans, where much of the interaction happens in unregulated online spaces, how do we prevent situations like this? There's another dimension to this story that's worth considering. The cost of internet fame, especially when it starts young. Ava Kris Tyson became famous in her late teens. By her 20s, she was a millionaire. She had millions of fans. She was recognized everywhere she went. She had access to anything she wanted. But she also had no privacy, no normalcy, no ability to make mistakes without millions of people watching. When she transitioned, it was a public spectacle. When her marriage ended, it was discussed by strangers online. Every old tweet, every past joke, every interaction was documented forever. This doesn't excuse inappropriate behavior, but it's worth acknowledging that the creator economy creates situations where very young people become very powerful very quickly, with no training, no support systems, and no regulations. The Mr. Beast team was essentially a group of friends from North Carolina who suddenly found themselves running a multi-million-dollar operation. They were kids who made it big together. And along the way, they had to figure out professionalism, boundaries, business practices, and ethics on the fly. When you combine youth, sudden wealth, fame, and power with minimal oversight or accountability structures, bad outcomes become more likely. This isn't unique to Mr. Beast's operation. This is true across the creator economy. We're watching the first generation to grow up with internet fame navigate what that means in real time, often failing spectacularly and publicly. Where things stand. As of early 2025, here's where things stand. Ava Kris Tyson remains out of public life. She has not returned to social media, has not done any interviews, and has not made any further statements. According to reports, she's focused on co-parenting her son and staying away from the spotlight. Connor, also known as Lava GS, continues to maintain that nothing inappropriate occurred and is asked repeatedly, for people to stop discussing it. He occasionally posts on social media, but has largely tried to move on. Mr. Beast continues to be one of YouTube's biggest creators. His channel continues growing. His businesses continue expanding. The Ava situation has not significantly impacted his success, though it remains a dark spot on his otherwise pristine reputation. The third-party investigation has reportedly concluded, but no public findings have been released. It's unclear if they ever will be. Legally, no charges have been filed. District attorneys would need cooperation from Connor to pursue any case, and he has made clear he doesn't see himself as a victim. In the court of public opinion, perspectives remain divided. Some believe Ava got away with inappropriate behavior because of her connections and wealth. Others believe she was unfairly targeted, and that the evidence doesn't support the most serious allegations. Some believe Connor's statement should be the final word. Others believe the behavior was concerning regardless of his perspective. What's clear is that a decade-long friendship ended. A core part of one of YouTube's most successful channels was erased, and questions about accountability, power dynamics, and the protection of minors in online spaces remain unanswered. The Ava Kris Tyson situation forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the world of online content creation. How many creators have inappropriate relationships with fans that we don't know about? How many young people are being groomed in Discord servers, Twitter DMs, and private messages while fans watch wholesome content on the main channel? When creators have direct, unmoderated access to millions of fans, including minors, what responsibility do they have to maintain appropriate boundaries? What responsibility do platforms have to enforce those boundaries? When does edgy humor cross the line into something more sinister? When do inside jokes? The Mr. Beast empire continues. Jimmy Donaldson remains one of the most powerful people in. If you or someone you know has experienced grooming or inappropriate contact with an adult online, please reach out for help. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children operates the Cyber Tip Line at cybertipline.org or call 1-800-843-5678.